morning. Nanaya Sapon is senior political aide to Alan Kojo Chairman, also with the Movement for Change. Nana, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
The birthday man. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
So how old are you today?
Old enough for whatever purpose you are asking.
No, for the purposes, that one I know you are old enough, but we are just looking for the numbers.
Oh, the numbers are looking good.
The numbers are looking
good, yeah.
I hope it would appreciate just like the city is appreciating.
Oh, well, if it's positively, why not like the city? I mean, why not? I mean, but no one delights in growing too fast.
But on behalf of the Tuesday school, I think we would have to take you for lunch. So you name a place after the show, and then together it will take you. Since you say it is you, but you are free to add one more person.
now, this is what will happen. People will be wondering whether the lunch happened or not, and
no, well, you are free.
No, now that you said you are free to add one person, if the lunch happens, people will be wondering, did the lunch happen, and how come I wasn't the one? You are going to give me problems, so. Next to Nanaya is Hamza Saib Suhini. He's a legal practitioner, a member of the National Democratic Congress, as well, communications team. Hamza, good to see you once again.
Good morning, Akable, and good morning to our charity.
I hope you are not joining him for the +1 mischief.
We are in
this together.
We are in this together. I'm a socialist, so you can understand. Anyway, happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
Like he indicated, if you have not done the needful, I'm sure that you are inching close to it. And this should be a point of reflection for you to possibly consider that aspect of life too, as well. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I was so charitable you didn't like me.
So that he doesn't have to put himself in a very difficult situation where he would be wondering where people would be wondering who went to lunch with him or stuff like that.
I think for one of the few occasions I would side with Nanaya over Hamza. I think I prefer Nanaya's conflict over Hamza. But thank you very much, guys, and yeah, thank you for the wishes and those who are sending the birthday wishes as well. Thank you very much. My mom already called, so yeah, I'm okay.
Is she the only one who called?
No, I mean, Hamza, relax with me. Yeah. So there's a lot.
You see?
Okay. Is the director? What you are saying? Are you telling me to say it or you can't tell me to say it? Very good. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. So thank you for the kind wishes as always, and to everyone else who is reaching out. And those who are sending gifts, I've received some amazing gifts already. There's a special person who sent iPhone 16. Yeah. Yes. The 16 Plus actually. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And yeah, and the designer shoes and every other thing. Thank you. I have to thank the person. Unfortunately, I don't have the liberty to mention a person's name. So I can't do that. Yeah, but there's a lot to talk about this morning, and I'll introduce you to my other guest quite shortly, who is joining. He's also been joining us on the Tuesday session for a while now. I'll introduce you to him quite shortly. Dr. Josiah Koba. He's a private legal practitioner, a very senior lawyer for that matter. Used to be a former principal lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. Doc, it's good to see you once again.
Thank you.
And there's a lot to talk about this morning, and those who may have seen the flyer, you know the conversation was supposed to center around the Galamsey issues. We'll get onto that shortly, but there's a bit of an update that has come through with regards to that big story that we've all been keeping our eyes on quite closely. The petition seeking the removal of the Chief Justice, Lady Chief Justice Gertrude Sabatokonu, is one that keeps taking different dimensions. And we know that since the matter took off, the legal challenges that have been taking place have largely been initiated by individuals who are exercising their constitutional rights under Ghana's constitution to seek various forms of redress from the courts, raising constitutional matters. And we know that last week, for the first time, the Chief Justice on her own, through her lawyers, took a legal action, raising questions about two members of the committee that is probing her, saying that, well, they should stay off the committee. Now there's an update to that. She's filed a supplementary affidavit, and the lawyers explained that she is simply providing additional facts to the court in support of her application for injunction. And in that document that she has filed, very interesting revelations that we are learning for the very first time, and also what the CJ makes of the process against her. For the first time, she's directly commented on how she feels about it. In fact, she says that there's a ploy in place to remove her from office. And I just want to read that part to you before I bring you the other details. She says that the persistent violations of my constitutional rights show that the whole proceedings initiated against me are a mockery of justice and a ruse to unjustifiably remove me from office as Chief Justice. That is how she concludes the affidavit in which she has signed, and she introduces herself as I, Justice Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Tokonu, Chief Justice, make oath and say as follows. So those are her words, her own words, and she concludes by saying that she's been unjustifiably removed from office. And that is the first time she's commenting directly on the matters related to the petitions against her. So what has triggered her or occasioned her decision to comment in this manner? And we said that, well, she had filed an application for injunction. Now she says after filing the application for injunction, they went over to the committee for the hearing, and her lawyers brought to the attention of the committee the fact of the pendency of the injunction application. And the committee said that, well, they were not aware of that fact, and so they wanted copies of it. And she says that her lawyers made copies available. The matter was adjourned. They came the following day, and on that day, the committee did indicate that they intend to proceed with the hearing. And she takes issues with that. She says that she finds it to be quite problematic. Now, beyond that, she now proceeds to list series of events that she believes amounts to abuse of her constitutional rights. So first, she raises concerns about where the hearing is taking place. She says it's taking place at a secured security installation. We are told it's close to the Osu Castle. She says in times past, such 146 proceedings takes place at judicial facilities. And when she gets to that facility, she says her mobile phone, her laptops are taken from her. That of her lawyers are also taken from them. And she says in terms of the petitioners, their lawyers are allowed to keep their laptops and mobile phones. Beyond that also, she says that her family, spouse and children are not allowed into the hearing room to observe proceedings. And I mean, one could easily answer the guess that it's an in-camera proceeding that is taking place, but she expresses reservations about that as well. And so she makes the point that also at the very first hearing of the committee, the very first hearing that took place, when she was served with a hearing notice through her lawyers, she didn't show up on the first day. She says when her lawyers showed up on the first day, they indicated to the committee that, I mean, they are appearing on her behalf, and the committee said that, well, since the Chief Justice herself was not around, they were not going to recognize the lawyers. And so she said the committee then proceeded to fix the days for hearing without recourse to her lawyers' participation in that process. And she puts all this together to say that she's been subjected to a mental torture. Her rights are being abused. And she believes that these additional facts should form the basis for the Supreme Court to injunct the committee from proceeding with its proceedings. So that is the update, and it was important to put all of this in context so that we know where we are in terms of this unfolding story. And I want to bring my guest in at this point in time, and I want to start with Hamza first. And I mean, the first time we are hearing from her directly. In fact, even though we had seen the injunction process, many had not seen the affidavit, and we've now seen the supplementary affidavits. I mean, it's one would say that, I mean, these are serious matters coming from the Chief Justice, or you hold a different view on that?
Absolutely not. Good morning to our cherished viewers out there, and of course, my brother in the studio and Dr. Koba. You see, so much is happening in this country, Akabile, especially after the swearing-in ceremony of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. We have choked inspiring progress as far as our democracy is concerned. If for nothing at all, we succeeded through that singular act in bringing an end to a regime that suffocated the entire republic for 8 good years. journalists in this country suddenly started losing their voices. And most of them, at a point in time, had to be flown out of the country. Sometimes it is important for us to remind ourselves of the journey that we have embarked upon so far, especially under the Fourth Republican Constitution and in recent times. Today, that aura of freedom of speech is back. Today, we are at liberty to question government decisions and go home to bed knowing that nobody is going to haunt us. Today, despite the fact that there are still challenges with our judiciary, there seems to be some semblance of confidence that if you wake up, either you belong to the New Patriotic Party or the National Democratic Congress, and you are going to court, you are somehow assured some semblance of justice. That is encouraging. On the economic front, we are dealing with a president and a team that has so far shown commitment to our monetary and fiscal policy measures aimed at reviving this economy. Once again, even the cost of imports, in terms of import bills that many of our traders pay, has suddenly started coming down. These are positive stories. Akable, in the midst of all that, we have had a government that has launched what we call the National Apprenticeship Program. In less than 6 months, the 1 million coders program to equally empower our youth with digital skills. We have the Ejumawura program. The same government, in less than 6 months, has succeeded in setting out and making available the 50 million Ghana cedis that it promised as seed capital for the establishment of the Women Development Bank, intended to financially position the women of this country. These are things happening in a matter of 6 months. Nobody around this table can downplay the significant inroads of this government as far as the economy is concerned and the impact it would have on the average Ghanaian out there. These are the concerns of the ordinary Ghanaian. These are what people want to talk about. When it comes to the conduct or concerns of the Chief Justice, that is why the law courts are there. Government has acted in line with the constitutional dictate. The government is not pausing because Chief Justice suspended Tokono is before a commission of inquiry. Government is going ahead with its business. And it is important for us to let Madam Tokono understand that the survival of the country is not hinged on her position as Chief Justice or otherwise. It is not hinged on that. So like she's indicated, she has done. Let us allow the law processes, law courts to take its due course.
But Hamza, at all points, government has always maintained that, they are acting within the confines.
But that is the point I'm making. That's why I've told you that I have given you the background.
Yeah,
I am struggling to appreciate where, in the last 6 months, this government has acted outside the laws of our country. Or outside the legitimate expectations of the Ghanaian people.
How do you process her point? She makes the point that, as far as she's concerned, judicial independence is under assault. That they have to protect the security of tenure of the Chief Justice.
That's why I made the point that the survival of our democracy and whether indeed our judiciary is working or not is not hinged on her remaining Chief Justice or otherwise.
Okay.
I made that point. Our constitutional dictates are clear. Under Article 146 of the Constitution, there's a process that needs to be activated if petitions are filed. Ghanaians took advantage of that particular provision. They have filed petitions to His Excellency the President. The President has acted in line with that particular process. and forwarded same to the Council of State. The Council has proceeded to establish a committee in conjunction with the President to deal with those matters. The Presidency is concerned about dealing with many other teething challenges of our society. So we are not, I don't see where the interference is coming from. And you just read it. Look at the reasons that she's abusing. I can't play.
I mean, but
the Constitution says in-camera proceedings.
I mean, Hamza, don't you have a problem?
I'll get there.
Don't you have a problem when you, for instance, read, and in the context of, there are those who are making a point that think of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, think of the Right Honorable Aban Bamin, and think of Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice, and think of the fact that she goes to a room where she's going for a hearing. She says she was searched. They took away her mobile phone, her telephone, and laptops, even though the counsel for the petitioners had access to their phones and their laptops.
That is the point I am making. That's the point I am making. Are the petitioners of the lawyers of the petitioners facing the committee? The committee has been instituted because of somebody. Is that not the case? And if you have concerns, has she raised those concerns with the chairman of the committee? These are questions we should be interested in asking. In any case, the proceedings are supposed to be in camera. Why would they allow you to go in there with your camera or your mobile phones? For what? To record what? They cannot guarantee that you will not record it. Secondly, if the proceedings are supposed to be in camera, why do you want to go there with your wife and children? And so if there is anybody whose conduct questions the legitimacy and the confidence Ghanaians must have in the judiciary, indeed, it is her conduct. Because you are, for goodness sake, you occupy an important position as Chief Justice. And you ought to know the meaning of in-camera proceedings. So if you begin to make statements to the effect that your children were denied entry into in-camera proceedings, then legitimately people can begin to question the sort of judgments that were handed down from the apex court of our land, especially when you were presiding. Why would you want to go into in-camera proceedings with your husband and wife, your children? Who does that, Akabli? And you want us to waste time discussing this issue? That is clearly effusions of a woman probably who is struggling to find the grounds to defend herself. The contents of the petitions are there. Let us focus on the contents. Let her go through the process and clear herself. If at the end of the day she's cleared, I am pretty much convinced that His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama would not have any difficulty whatsoever reinstating her. But until that is done, we will not allow her to take us on an emotional roller coaster. I mean, simply to win sympathy, to subvert this constitutional process. That will not be entertained in this country. I mean, even if His Excellency President Mahama is found wanting, as far as the laws of this country is concerned, we would make sure that he's sticking to the laws of the country. Let alone.
Do you hold the same position on another fact that she pleads? And as a lawyer yourself, I mean, when you go to court, there are instances that your client is not present in court. You go there, you do the case. But she says, well, she wasn't present. The panel said that they are not going to recognize her lawyer. The panel proceeds to fix hearing dates without recourse to her lawyer who was present.
Of course, the panel is clothed with the legal authority to do so. Even if you go to court, our normal courts, to represent somebody who is not a plaintiff or a defender who is not in court, the judge can decide based on what knowledge is available to him at that material moment to say that he's not going to recognize you. Because there's no basis to indicate, apart from what you would have filed, that you are acting on behalf of that person. Anybody at all can be an imposter. So the point is, she should pay attention to the contents of the petition and spare us that emotional roller coaster. I think that for her and her legal team, it is a political football. So they want to take the nation away from the constitutional requirements and box us in the political fault to engage in a political banter. But I can assure them that as far as this government is concerned, we will resist that temptation because our fidelity to the 1992 Constitution is unmatched.
Okay.
So we would continue to respect it. His Excellency President Mahama and his government will continue to focus on delivering on the many campaign promises that they made to the good people of this country. If at any point in time his role is required after the committee's work is done, I am convinced that His Excellency would find time again to discharge his constitutional obligations with regards to the work of that particular committee. But Akable, until that is done, we must send a strong signal to the attorneys and the Chief Justice for that matter that this country will not accept their invitation to go on that political trajectory or emotional roller coaster seeking to win sympathy outside the committee's work or the commission's work.
Okay.
They must concentrate on what is happening there.
Okay.
And take charge of the processes to register their concerns. Sitting at the Flagstaff House, what's the name? Old Parliament Castle, is also one of the reasons she enumerated.
Yeah.
Not so?
Yes. In fact, she says that.
Is that the first committee to have sat
She
there?
says the committees, the armed forces committees in the past always took place in judicial.
You see, that has always been my problem. That has
made to go to
I think
secured security installation for the hearing to take place.
I think that in her mind, everybody is supposed to act in line with what she believes to be the right thing. You remember the prima facie establishment? When she demanded that the letter should have been given to her first before given to the committee, the Council of State. You remember? Because that was the operative philosophy in her mind. But the courts proved otherwise. Today, she feels that she has the right to determine to the good people of this country where committees should sit. Is it stated in the Constitution 1992 where that particular committee that is set up by the President and in conjunction with Council of State, where they should sit? Is the venue provided? So where is that coming from? Is the castle, old castle, is that not a state facility? Doesn't it belong to the state? The Supreme Court buildings, are they not part of the state assets? So the state, depending on availability, can decide to allocate any state asset for such purposes. Madam Tokono cannot dictate to this republic or the President of the Republic where such hearings should be conducted. The Emulsion Commission on the West Wagon was held at that same premises. Under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. What was wrong with it? It's a state facility. It's a state. It's something you cannot take away from the state. Okay. In any case, she's talking about security. The security within that zone, in a way, is even relaxed these days because the presidency is no more situated there.
Okay.
And there are no obstructions.
Okay.
An ideal place for such hearings. No interference. Drive towards that side, the Castle Drive. Serene for such an engagement.
Okay.
So what is she afraid of?
Okay.
Look, Akable, let us focus on the bread and butter issues. Let us call for reduction in prices in line with the appreciation of the Ghanaian cedi.
Okay.
Let us charge this government to live up to its promise of creating jobs for many of our youth out there. Let us hold this government to tax when it promised that it was going to make agriculture attractive to our people. Let us hold the government to tax to deliver these promises. For me, that should be the focus of our discussion this morning. But not... Sorry.
Okay. Let me come to Doc before I come to Nanaya. And Doc, very senior lawyer yourself. I don't know how you process hearing a Chief Justice, for instance, say that she says there's been a desecration of her basic constitutional rights to a fair trial, violation of my dignity, and subjection to inhumane and degrading treatment of a kind not meted out to even accuse persons on trial for treason and other offenses against the state. I mean, so far, we've all been monitoring the petition and how things have been going. Are you able to situate her assessment of how things are panning out in relation to what you've seen happening so far?
Well, good morning again. From where I sit, what goes through my mind is whether what is happening now in her case is any different from what happened when the electoral commissioner was removed, when Charlotte Osei went through the process. A process that at that time, I think she was in charge of that process because the petition is sent to the Chief Justice.
She wasn't Chief Justice at that time.
Well,
no, she wasn't.
But where the Chief
Justice, the Office of the Chief Justice, yes.
Office of the Chief Justice, So was it any different? Has the process been any different, the procedure been any different when other justices have been removed? Is it really true that judicial independence is under attack? Did the EC collapse when the electoral commissioner was removed? Did Shraj collapse when the Shraj commissioner was removed in the past? From the information available to me, I wonder, is she just asking for special treatment? But in this country, we are all supposed to be equal before the law, the Chief Justice included. Is it really the case that she's been targeted? I think so far, my reading of what has been going on is that the president has acted in accordance with the constitutional requirement when it comes to the removal of a petition to remove the Chief Justice. I think most of us, in my opinion, believe that the president has remained quite loyal in terms of the constitutional requirements. Now, another thing that goes through my mind is whether the Chief Justice is coming to all this with clean hands. I was very disturbed about the leakage of the petition. All reasonable fingers point at her for the leakage of the petition. So she doesn't have clean hands, in terms of telling us that.
Doc, those are, we can't confirm that. There was a statement from the presidency that suggested that, but we can't point that as a matter of fact. And what we know for a fact is she has requested that she wants the process to be opened to the public. She wants it made available to the public. I think we can just stay within that as a matter of fact.
Well, but brother, you want it to be made public. The Constitution prescribes otherwise. The question is this: how did the petition get leaked? Who leaked the petition? I think it's a fair question to ask. Especially when you're talking about the judiciary being under attack. This petition is against the person of the Chief Justice. It is not against the judiciary.
But Doc, you made a point earlier about equality and everyone being equal. But you, our law lecturers, what you tell us is that you treat Justice Dateba says you treat equals equally. When the people are unequal, you don't treat them equally. I mean, so if someone like the Chief Justice, for instance, is going for a hearing and she says she's being searched, her phones are being taken from her laptop. I mean, those are matters that one would say that, well, that's a bit some way.
I don't know about you, but there are various places that I have been to where they take my phone. I'm not allowed to go in with my laptop. I'm not allowed to go in with my assistant. It's you know, it's quite normal. And remember that she is the one against whom the petition has been leveled. She is the person on the spot. And it's not her lawyers, it's her.
Yeah.
Why is she asking us to treat her any differently than any other citizen who has to go through a process that is mandated by the Constitution?
Okay. I mean, Doc, I don't know what you make of this other point that she makes. It says the committee, they have decided that the petitioners will not be giving evidence on their own, but they will be calling other witnesses to come and give evidence. And she finds that also to be problematic. She thinks that once the petitioners have brought forward the petition, like any complaint, she wants the opportunity to confront her accusers directly. And already I've seen those who are drawing parallels with what's happening in the Supreme Court in the election petition when the petitioners had wanted a chance to engage the EC chairperson. Already those are, people are drawing parallels, but I don't know how you process the concerns she raises.
Well, all I can say is that there is a committee established by law. They make their rules. Any lawyer will tell you, they are in charge of their procedures. And if that is the decision that they've made, so be it. In any case, she is free to challenge what the committee says or does not say or do or does not do in court. You know, and I'm not faulting her for raising all those issues. She is in a position to defend herself, and it's legitimate for her to raise all those matters, you know. But at the end of the day, the committee makes its own rules.
Okay. Let me come to you, Nana, now. And Nana, I mean, I found this affidavit interesting because it gave us a sense of how her ladyship is processing all that is happening around her. And her assessment and conclusion is that there is a ruse to unjustifiably remove her from office. And she says judicial independence is under assault. Let me ask you directly, do you agree with that?
We wouldn't be seated here if indeed the judiciary and the Constitution is under attack. I don't think we would be seated here today. And sometimes that is why most of the lawyers don't like me as a friend. They speak too much English and want to scare us. And the English, when you have broken it down into a better understanding, you would come to agree with me with that what I always say. They say nothing. My brother, let us be honest. The issues that were raised. One, she says the basic constitutional rights to fair trial. I'm not a lawyer. You are lawyers. But that's why I say 3 lawyers. I'm the only roadside person.
There are 2 of us, me and you. Go ahead.
Basic constitutional rights to fair trial. Ghanaians would attest. Has she been subject to an unfair trial? Has she been subjected to an unfair trial? The procedures to her removal stipulated clearly, unambiguous in Article 1466. Were those procedures followed? I hear some of the senior lawyers talk a lot, and the basic question I have asked is, are they able to quote one provision or authority to back the fact that the Chief Justice or the President has gone against Article 146? No, I am not a lawyer. And anytime you lawyers have spoken, you say that there should be an authority backing what you are saying. So if the President has not violated any provision in the Constitution, I do not see where she would want to come and tell us that her basic constitutional rights to fair trial has been violated. Number two, that violation of a human dignity. And so when I was seated here, I was trying to understand what human dignity is. I did a Catholic university, and so there is a whole program, a course we did under human dignity. And I was trying to understand, is there a different definition of human dignity in law that we do not know? When you are talking about human dignity, that is when you have been humiliated. That is when your self-worth has been touched, and that you actually, there's examples. We're talking about somebody who has been tortured, somebody who has gone through some social exclusion, some slavery. That is what we are talking about. Human. I don't know who has taken her through that level of torture. Unless otherwise, there are different definitions to it. When, to an extent that you even requested for a petition, a copy of the petition, one per the procedures, it was not even time for you to have been given a copy. And you want us to believe that you have been tortured. Nobody has been to her office to drag her out. I do not think anybody has done anything beyond just going through the procedures that has been stipulated in the Constitution. She talks about inhuman and degrading treatment. Lovely. Ghana here, inhuman and degrading treatment, according to her, how? A mockery of justice. Lovely. I stated it before that she and her lawyers, their actions and inactions is an embarrassment to our Constitution. What they are doing is rather what is a mockery of justice. As the head of our judiciary, you would want to frustrate the processes that are constitutionally stated. Was it the terms of reference of the committee to have an in-camera hearing? No. It is stated in the Constitution, clearly. Unless otherwise some of us do not understand and are not able to read. Because if you look at the procedures in 146, because I'm not a lawyer, I sometimes try to work with the Constitution. The procedures are there. I think that it is clear.
1468.
8. And then I'm sure all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera. I don't know the type or the italics now camera. It means that this one, there's nothing you can do about it. So, damn it, that's not know that this is constitutional. You want to play technicalities with Ghanaians? Was it John Dramani Mahama that put this in there? I mean, where are we? What do they want to gain? I've said that if she and her lawyer want us to have a review of Article 146, there is a procedure to that effect. If you want there to be an amendment of this, there is a procedure to that effect. Let us go through that channel. but not to ride behind this case to frustrate Ghanaians. This is a frustration of Ghanaians. And you see, we kind of have given so much of room to her, and it is like, okay, she wants to find a way to court some public sympathy, but nobody has done anything to her. Others have gone through the procedure. You should go through that procedure. Now, do they now understand what proceedings and procedures are? When Ghanaians took LGBTQ Parliament, and it was a bill taken to the office of the president, that the president should assent to it and it becomes a law. And an aspect of it was taken to the Supreme Court. We ordinary Ghanaians knew for a fact that the Supreme Court does not interpret bills. Unless otherwise we were wrong. What they interpret are laws. And it was a bill, it wasn't a law. And we knew the end judgment that would come. We were crying, Madam, bring the judgment out, let the president send a signature onto the bill. After elections, he came to tell us that it is a bill and not a law, and for that matter, Supreme Court cannot interpret it. Did we not know this? No. We would go through the procedures. I seated here, I have not seen any form of frustration. And when we are talking about, when she's talking about the venue, as Hamza said, the venue is not stated in the Constitution. It is a committee, whether a commission or a committee, whichever building that is available, that would pass basic security test, is what will be given for them to use.
Okay.
In any case, so you have been a senior lawyer for a long time. Are the courts in Ghana not security installations? What is a security installation? Have you actually looked at the definition of a security installation?
I mean, at least we know that even for the courts, when you are going over, you are screened at the entrance, at the main entrance. All this English, plenty English. When I am coming to her office, would I not be screened? Can anybody at all wake up from the house and come to the Supreme Court and say that he or she is walking to the office of the Chief Justice? Is that not a security installation? Okay.
There are levels of security installations. Of course, I agree. But you do not just expect us to have the hearing of this high-profile case or petition in any building at all.
Okay.
If today the committee or the president had recommended, or the chairman of the committee had recommended that you should go and use one of the hotels, the conference rooms in any of the hotels, her lawyers would come on Facebook to come and write that the hotel they are going, the conference room they are using, belongs to the president's sister's husband's wife. We are in Ghana here. Unless we are... Okay. Do you not attest to the fact that on many occasions there have been issues that have gone on, that venues have become a subject of contention?
Okay.
And so if there is a government property which has all the security, that passes all the security tests, and your safety is assured, and you tell us that it is a security installation, and for that matter, we should have used another venue. In any case, I've had the benefit of visiting some few courts. When there is a pre-trial conference, what basically we have seen is that you go into the chamber of the
The judge.
The judge. You know, they move the defendant, they go to try to sit. There are other cases that you need to go into chamber before it comes into the public space, the open court. Now, what is the difference between in-camera and open court? There is a reason why the Constitution stated that it should be in-camera. There are reasons why other cases are open court. There are reasons cases go on pre-trial. There are reasons why cases go straight up for open court proceedings. And so, one is because of it being less intrusive. And when they want to reduce public for whatever reason. And so if there has been a recommendation stated in the Constitution that this should be in camera, and you expect the chairman of the committee to allow beyond you and your legal team other selected members of your family, you would get to a point where somebody like me who comes from dominance in a royal beyond my wife and my children, my chiefs would want to follow me.
Okay.
When you were vetting these ministers and the whole place became a movie, a cinema room, and more like a football stadium, we Ghanaians said that, listen, you are going in there with too many people.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, if we are able to recommend that there should be limitations in some of these high-profile public stuff that happens, and this one, by divine grace, it is stated as in camera, why would we have to allow you to come with your chiefs and your family members?
Okay.
It's not the best.
Okay. Let me just wrap up just briefly with Hamza and Doc as well. And I mean, you have some points you want to make on your own. You want me to come to you?
You can, but just sometimes for the purposes of our viewers and our listeners, no matter how discomforting the expertise opinion may appear to be, it is important that it is shared. First of all, it is true that through the constitutional review process, one can engineer a certain outcome as far as many of these provisions are concerned if we are not comfortable with it. That is your first step, is simply to get in touch with the Constitutional Review Committee that has been put in place by His Excellency President Mahama and make your policy position on it succinct. Her lawyers, if they are uncomfortable with Article 146, the window of opportunity is still not closed on them. Quite apart from activating the legal processes to force an interpretation that seeks to expand the frontiers of Article 146, they should also explore the possibility of taking advantage of the current committee that is sitting to review to look at our Constitution and make a presentation to that effect. I think that can be done. But you see, I can blame. So, Nana, I agree that using the constitutional review process is one way.
Okay.
But interestingly, too, another way is through interpretation. So it is within her legal right, like I indicated from the word go to court to seek for an interpretation that seeks to expand the frontiers of Article 146. In any case, the courts have done so before.
Yeah.
In the case of Frank Ajetum, this issue of prima facie, when we're dealing with, if you read the Constitution,
in fact, if not for that case,
there wouldn't have been the need for the establishment of a prima facie. So the case expanded the frontiers of that particular provision and made room for such a creation.
Okay.
But in as much as the doors of opportunities are still open, it does not mean that we should drive through all kinds of absurdity through that door.
Okay.
Under the guise of upholding the principles of our 1992 Constitution.
All right. All right.
And for me, that is my disappointment. I am seeing things I have never seen before. The lowest of the low, Akable. And for it to be coming from a former Chief Justice and celebrated lowest is scary, to say the least.
Suspended Chief Justice.
Suspended Chief Justice. Because you see,
Chief Justice, yeah.
Thanks for that correction. Suspended Chief Justice. But you see, Akable, in that same supplementary affidavit in support, she has described herself as the Chief Justice. She's the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana as we speak today.
I mean, but Hamza, to be fair, if you read the majority opinion, the recent decision, the court does acknowledge Justice Amadou Tanko says.
No, you are swearing an oath. I'm talking about an oath that she has sworn and has signed. And she's referred to herself as Chief Justice. She is not.
In my view, until her removal.
Yeah, that's why I'm making reference.
It's not true.
That's why I'm making reference to the majority opinion. Justice Tanko makes the point that the position of the Chief Justice is not vacant.
It's not vacant.
It says there is an occupant.
Yeah.
Just
but who is the
person
occupant?
Has been suspended.
Who is the occupant?
Lady Chief Justice
She is not the occupant. She is not the occupant. You see, you can put all kinds of slant to that ruling. The position of the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana today is not vacant because we have an acting Chief Justice in place, recognized under the laws of our Constitution. If you have a sitting Chief Justice, you have an acting Chief Justice. Absolutely not. But so legally, that position is not vacant. It has been filled in acting capacity. And the fact that it has been filled and she's been suspended, she cannot be seen swearing an oath and referring to herself as such. Under our laws, as we speak today, she's
herself suspended Chief Justice.
She's a Chief Justice of the, what's the name? A judge of the Superior Court judge.
When I'm saying that you are talking law, I'm talking from the corporate.
No, I'm not talking corporate. I'm talking
now,
law.
When
so
you are
don't
a manager and you are on leave, and somebody is acting on your behalf, where you have gone to any place,
she's not gone on leave.
You see yourself as the manager.
You see, don't confuse legalities with your corporate understanding of things. Is she on leave? She has been suspended.
Yes,
she still remains a Superior Court judge. Nothing bars her from swearing an oath and referring to herself as
Justice of the Supreme
Court.
Finally, let's land from here and I'll read something to you, then I'll come to
finally, that was just an aside in any case. You see, Akable, for many of us, and those of us who are interested in the outcome of this matter, we want to use that as an opportunity to better our democratic process and strengthen the doors of accountability. Because we want to get to the point where, irrespective of your stature in society, if the Constitution says that there's a certain process that you ought to be taken through for misconduct, Ghanaians should have the confidence to take you through that process without any hindrance or whatsoever. And that is important. But if we allow all kinds of commentary and attack on the judiciary because we are activating and taking advantage of constitutional provisions by citizens of this Republic of Ghana, of our republic, if their conduct can be deemed as an attack on the judiciary, we would be pushing them to the back burner when it comes to issues of freedom of speech. And for me, that is a worry. Chief Justice Tokono, suspended, should know that this is not just about her person. I admire her courage. I've heard many people say that she should have resigned. I don't subscribe to that school of thought. Because I saw it in the likes of Charlotte Osei, when they stood their grounds and fought. I've always believed. That's my training. Even if the whole system is against you and you are convinced that you are right, march on and pursue your dreams. So if she is doing so, believing that she's right, it does not preclude those of us who also feel that there are certain questions for her to answer, to demand and to insist that she should be held to the bar. When it comes to some of these questions that we are also throwing out. And when we do so, we are not undermining the process and we are not undermining her human rights. We are actually trying to expand the frontiers of our engagement as far as our democratic space is concerned.
All right. And the point I was making about what the majority opinion said, this is Justice Tanko speaking at page 18 of the judgment, Vincent Assefuah versus Attorney General, paragraph 49. He says, let it be expressed emphatically that the Chief Justice has not been removed but suspended from office, and therefore the office of the Chief Justice is not vacant. That's the point that I was...
Yes, it's not, but I've said that it's not vacant.
That's fine.
But the fact that he has said that it's not vacant doesn't mean that he's talking who is occupying that seat.
I mean, so as far as
has he said that?
As far as you are concerned, who is the Chief Justice now? The acting Chief Justice.
Paul Papoponi.
That's fine.
He's the Chief Justice of the
Republic of Ghana. Let me come to Doc and wrap up with Doc.
So don't put words in the judgment of Justice Tanko.
I mean, we've not put any words in the judgment. The point we were making is you are expressing concerns about how she had described herself, and I'd read to you, I had made a point to you that the Supreme Court had indicated that...
I'm coming. She's the Chief Justice.
The point I was making to you was that the Supreme Court had indicated that the Chief Justice had not been removed from office and that the Chief Justice position had not become vacant, and that is exactly what I read to you. I have not said anything otherwise.
No,
I think we should stay within that. I mean, what exactly have I said otherwise? You can point.
My point was simple. The position is not vacant because there's an occupant who is in acting capacity.
Okay.
And your point was that she's allowed to swear still.
Not at all.
As Chief Justice because...
if
that's not your point, then
the point I was drawing your attention to is about...
That is the point I made.
It's about the fact...
that's the point you made.
The point I was drawing your attention to is about the fact that the...
How can someone who is suspended remain Chief Justice? When you have an acting Chief Justice.
But Doc, let me come to you, and Doc, I mean, for you as a practitioner yourself, a senior practitioner, there are many who are looking at all what is playing out and saying that it's not good time for the judiciary, no matter how you look at it. I mean, the suspended Chief Justice is going after two of her colleagues on the bench. She doesn't want them to participate in it. She's now making accusations. It's being responded to by political commentators. It's how would the judiciary even come out of this intact? And I've heard people who even say that it's even in the interest of the image of the judiciary that maybe she walks away.
Well, how she chooses to approach this is very much in her bosom. She will determine how she wants to go about this. I personally believe that the judiciary will survive this too. As for arguments like the one that we just had about whether she's still the Chief Justice or not, that is the beauty of law practice. You know, if we didn't have these nuanced interpretations, there would be no law practice. We argue and we disagree and agree sometimes. You know, I think what's important is that, for me, is that this is not an attack on the judiciary. This is an individual who happens to be the Chief Justice. And then we have petitions seeking to remove her for misconduct. That's it. I don't think that this is going to destroy the judiciary. It's unfortunate that she goes after her colleagues. But listen, she's defending herself, and I'm sure those colleagues also have whatever arsenal they have to defend themselves.
Okay.
You know. But in the end, what I want to say is that there are no special Ghanaians. We are all Ghanaians. We are all subject to the same laws. Chief Justice, the President, the Speaker, you, Mr. Akable, and me, Nana. We are all subject to the same provisions of the Constitution. And that will happen. Whether the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, wants it or not, or whether her lawyers want that to be the case or not, we are going to go by the Constitution. And in the end, what the committee decides and the action that the Constitution requires us to be taken will be taken, and we will move on.
All right.
And the judiciary will survive.
All right. Nana, you can wrap up for me in a minute.
No, I do not even see any attack on the judiciary.
Okay, I think you've made that point.
The office of the Chief Justice is not a perpetual. It's not a perpetual office for any individual.
Okay.
Once the Constitution has made a provision for a possible removal, it means that anybody who occupies that space, if you don't retire, you can be removed. And for that matter, we do not say that the judiciary is under any attack. If there is a grounds for the impeachment of the president today, would we say that the executive is under attack? If there is a grounds for the removal of the Speaker of Parliament, would we say that Parliament is under attack?
Okay.
Why has there been a petition for the removal of the Chief Justice? And we want to lie. This is some people with selfish political interests who just want to lie to Ghanaians that the judiciary is under attack.
All right.
In what form?
Okay. All right. It's just
information.
Yeah.
In terms of the facility,
okay.
I've just been given information that indeed it is not even a national security asset, as claimed. It belongs to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It is a diplomatic asset.
The castle
equipped to standard for even hosting diplomatic missions in this country.
Okay.
And so it's a respected zone.
All right.
And for them, I think that it was the highest form of respect. And also, it is not accurate that the lawyers didn't go there with their phones. Indeed, they demanded. And they were allowed to go in there because they wanted to have access to their law reports on their phones.
So you mean the lawyers for the petitioners that she made reference to?
Her own lawyers have access. They were allowed to go in there.
That's fine. Okay.
So the information I am getting.
That's fine. So that is it by way of our first discussion this morning on the issues surrounding the Chief Justice. We are now going to zoom in and talk a bit about Akonta Mining as time would allow. And this is a company that some years back had been mentioned as being engaged in, had been accused of being engaged in illegal mining in Ghana's Forest Reserve. I want you to take a listen to what the then president of the time, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had to say of Akonta Mining. Then when we come back, I'll bring you the latest on Akonta Mining and the individual behind Akonta Mining.
Let me respond briefly to the chairperson on the issue of illegal mining. I want to assure him and all of you that Akonta Mining is not engaged in any illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak. Further, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has, through the agency of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining as we speak. We will continue to work to ensure that this situation remains permanent. This government is determined to win the fight against galamsey, no matter the cost.
So that was President Akufo-Addo there speaking about the activities of Akonta Mining. And I mean, beyond what he had said, there was a petition that civil society groups sent to the Ghana Police Service. The matter never ended up in court. I mean, we heard the anti-galamsey campaigners complain about inaction on the part of the police over the period. They said that, well, they've given evidence, aerial videos, pictures, photographs of the destruction in various forests, among other things. They made all that available to the police, and still not much became of it. Now, there's a change in government, and yesterday, as you may be aware, the NPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Chairman Wontumi, as he's called, appeared before the police CID, and he's going back tomorrow. And the statement that we had from the police CID indicates that he's going today. Yeah, he's going today, yes. The statement we have says that following an invitation by the Director General of the Criminal Investigation Department, the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic, Mr. Bernard Infibu-Esiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, reported at the CID headquarters on Monday, 26th May 2025 at midday to assist with the investigation. He was accompanied by a team of lawyers led by former Attorney General Mr. Godfred Dami. He was cautioned on the following alleged allegations: 1, undertaking mining operations without a license; 2, pollution of water bodies; and 3, entering a forest reserve without authorization. Mr. Nchibu Esiaku cooperated very well with the police during the course of the investigation, after which he gave a statement to the police and was granted bail to report to the police. That is Tuesday, that is today, 27th May 2025. Further development will be communicated to the general public. And I want to start with you, Nana. And the point that I sought to make in the introduction is about the fact that the police CID, they were given information by civil society groups. They didn't take any step at all. I mean, the sense that the civil society groups got from them was they were not proceeding with any matter. They called for the arrest of Chairman Wontumi on multiple occasions. All of a sudden, there's a change in government and the ministry is announcing suspension of the license. You take the previous position, the president had said that they are not engaged in illegal mining, and now he's being questioned, he's being cautioned for various offenses, he's going back today. I mean, that does not inspire confidence in state agencies.
Not at all. And this is no news in Ghana. And that is something that we should be worried about. We should be worried about the lack of confidence in our institutions and individuals who mine our institutions. That is something that we ought to deal with. You understand me? Okay? There was a clip I watched of Wontumi saying that when John Dramani Mahama is coming to Kumasi, he needs his permission. They come to negotiate with him. I don't know if you've watched that clip before. If myself here, the son of Bafo Asaribediakun, if I see this, the next minute I would have been arrested. But you see, he was left off the hook. Why? Because it was his party that was in government. Today, can he go and sit on that same TV station or wherever he stood to say such a thing? We allow politics to influence every single thing that we do. I would zoom into what is happening even in foreign affairs, Washington, D.C. The gentleman, everybody attests to the fact that has been doing this not today. And people are now testifying after this action has been taken by Okujato Ablakwa that they had even actually done investigations, reports have been done. Not one person has said it, not two, not three. But at the end of the day, because of power, because he has access to power and to certain individuals in authority, the institution is not able to function. Of course, when this whole Galamsey issue came up, people started making noise about Akonta mining. That was when we even got to know that Akonta mining, Wontumi was behind Akonta mining. Nobody knew.
Yeah.
The former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Jinapo, do you remember what he said about Akonta mining and its activities? He then was a minister, a cabinet minister. What action was he able to take? Because the gentleman had access to power. And so when people have access to power and certain individuals in authority, people who are supposed to manage our institutions and lead our institutions in confidence lose their confidence.
Okay.
I sat here and I said that with Akonta mining, what we should do is what you, the lawyers, you have been talking about, to take off the veil and deal with the individuals who are behind the veil. You heard the former president talk and say that Akonta mining, he was, and you cannot say.
He's what, attesting to their credibility.
Their credibility. That indeed they are not involved in any form of mining. Is that not the interpretation of what he said?
Any form of illegal mining.
And I sat here and I said that They themselves are not involved. Well, what they have done is that the concession that they have and the level of lease and documentations they have has influenced them, as per the reportage, that they sell off parts of the concessions to other companies and other individuals. And these individuals are those that are involved in the illegal mines. So they would come to tell you that they are not involved directly. But of course, their agents are. And so we have to take off the veil and deal with the matter proper. And this is where we are today.
Okay.
Did they not deny the fact that they are not mining in any forest reserve? What are we hearing? What are we seeing?
Okay.
But, Akaple, at the end of the day, what can help us deal with the matter is when we have been able to have a proper synchronized collaboration between some state ministries and agencies. Because this is what they do with the illegal mining. When the people from the Minerals Commission have gotten to them, then they would have to actually go through or audit their documents. Those people from the Minerals Commission are not able to tell which ones are forest reserves, which ones are the no-go areas in the forest. It is the Forestry Commission that is able to do that.
Okay.
And because we do not have a member of the Forestry Commission as part of the team, they leave it.
Yeah.
Now, when they get to another point, and it is a water body, you need to be able to define the banks and the extent it has to go. But if we have all of these institutions, members from these institutions as part of the monitoring teams, if we have them doing a proper collaboration, all right, you do not, it becomes a one-stop shop of a thing.
Okay.
So if you are presenting your documents and we have to review or audit it, we are all able to do it. If there are measurements we have to undertake to ensure that indeed you have respected the rules of engagement, it is easily done.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so we should just go beyond Wontumi. Yeah. As for Wontumi's case, a special case, we would have to deal with that matter. But what lessons are we drawing from their actions and how they brought us to where we are? And what are the measures we are putting in place to be able to avert moving forward into the future?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, let me come to Hamza now. And Hamza, I mean, I heard Chairman Wontumi speak even before he appeared at the police CID, and he says that the sanctions that the NDC government is imposing on him, he says it is more than the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia and Ukraine by the various unions. He says he can't have access to his bank accounts, and I mean, he was asked how he's surviving, and he says, I mean, it's by the grace of God. I mean, that's his assessment of what is.
But just for the records, it was Akonta Mining's bank account that was frozen, not his individual or personal bank account.
Okay.
And I do not think you pay your children's school fees and buy groceries from company accounts.
Okay. So Hamza, I mean, how do you respond to that? I mean, he feels it's under serious attack.
I think for me, it adds to a litany of strategic decisions or choices that has been bandied around by political operatives anytime they are called to account for their stewardship, either because of the exposure that they have been privileged to have or because of certain offices that they occupy. And it dovetails even into the case we just discussed, the Chief Justice. You see, this country, our obsession with politicizing everything is nauseating. And it makes it difficult for us to actually go after crime and punish it effectively. And it should be a worry to anybody who is concerned about the future of this country.
Okay.
On this very table, before even the Minister of Mines and Natural Resources gave this directive to withdraw the license of Akonta Mine, I've had cause to complain that the likes of Wuntimi, our politics has become so porous that anybody at all wakes up on a very good morning and decides that the only way to protect his or her criminal enterprise is to go into politics and identify with a political party. And interestingly, when they do, and the wheels of accountability are let loose on them, we assemble ourselves under the cloak of partisanship and provide them that shield to evade that cloak of accountability. At the end of the day, it is not the NDC that is going to suffer. It's not the MPP that is going to suffer. It's not going to be President Mahama who will suffer. It is going to be the good people of this country, our own children.
Okay.
So, those of you in the media, I think that you must lead the charge on this.
Okay.
In ensuring that even if you are invited to take the political bites from the likes of Wuntimi, you resist the temptation and hold them closely to the standards of accountability. Because you see, Akable, who is not aware about the conduct of Akonta Mine, and Wuntimi in particular? Who is not aware? To a point, even their own government, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Samuel Abujinapo, somewhere in 2022, had cause to give a similar directive and directed that they should be prevented from mining at the Nimri Forest Reserve because they did not have the right or the right licenses to operate there. Have you forgotten? So what is it, what was Akonta Mining engaged in that got the Honorable Abujinapo to the point of conviction that he needed to issue that directive?
Okay.
We should be asking these questions.
Right.
So we do not need anybody to tell us that, look, there's something wrong with the conduct of that mining company. And what has emboldened it over the years is simply the political exposure of Wuntimi and our willingness to entertain that absurdity anytime it comes out. You see, Akable, I am restraining myself from saying certain things, and I'll continue to restrain myself.
I mean, all those are aspects under investigation.
Yes,
so
but you see,
that we stay within that.
I am waiting to see how this government will deal with Wuntimi. I am waiting.
Okay.
And it will be a defining moment for us. And I'm saying so because, you see, I've heard that for him and his campaign team, because he's Ghana, to be national chairman of the New Patriotic Party. So he sees this.
Which one?
That's not chairman of the
New Patriotic Party. Yes, Wuntimi, that is how our politics has become.
He wants to be your national, your former party's national chairman. That's the state of
land for me so that I.
No, but it's our land. Please, but don't rush. Today you are not being fair to me. Today is your birthday. I beg you, let me.
I'm sorry. I beg you.
You see, and so for him, it is a hotbed to launch his chairmanship campaign. So, okay, the government is against you. The government is trying to go after him. So the party should come and support him in that regard. That way he gets to mobilize people. And that is why, yes, but that is unfortunately.
Okay.
But you see, that is why we have gotten to this stage. And that's why I'm saying that I'm waiting to see how this government will behave. Okay. Because I will be hugely disappointed if the gentleman gets away with this. And I can assure you that the Attorney General I know and the president who is leading us now will not let these things slide.
Okay.
And if you know Bua, the Mines and Energy Minister, the Mines Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, be rest assured that we'll get to the bottom of this matter. Okay. It is not just Wuntimi alone who will be held to account. Many of his operatives who work under the cloak of that company will be held to account. But when it comes to his resources, the fact that his account has been frozen, this is not the first time he's doing outside gibberish. Because he did so even when President Mahama was president. That's how come he won the regional chairmanship of the New Patriotic Party in Ashanti region. Because he said that the entire government was against him.
Okay.
And the MPP, as a gullible organization, bought into it. And today, they have his likes to contend with in the New Patriotic Party. If this person is the face of your political party, My goodness, God.
Okay.
I can only wish you well.
Let me wrap up with Doc. And Doc, I want
says
to
it's
ask
not
you
true? It's
the same question I put to Amanda earlier about the fact that all the information that we have in the public domain was always available to the state agencies, and they barely twitched. And all of a sudden, they are acting. So that leaves the ordinary Ghanaians to wonder that if such information is available about someone who is connected to the current government, there's reason to believe that they wouldn't be able to move as they are moving now.
Well, that is the sadness of the situation. It's quite obvious now that a lot of us are doing a lot of things and we are covered by politics. It has been known to all of us that this illegal mining is an existential, constitutes an existential threat to our democracy, to our future, the future of our children. And we have always been aware that there are powerful people behind what is going on. Now, Ghanaians have seen this. I was shocked watching a video clip of this man with gold bars
On live TV.
on live TV talking about what it means to be wealthy. I mean, now, those of us who've worked all our life, struggling to pay school fees and doing what you're supposed to do. And this man was sitting there and boasting about wealth and power. Meanwhile, we all knew that all this information that you say has been available was there. Now, the chicken have come home to roost. And he should face the music. He has to face the music. My only concern is that as he faces what he has in front of him, we should all learn a lesson from it, that eventually, politics or no politics, the law will catch up with us.
I see.
Now, in answer to your question, if all this information was available, why didn't we do anything about it? You heard His Excellency President Akufo-Addo. I think that's your answer.
Yeah. Okay.
That is your answer.
I get the point. I mean, Doc, you're basically suggesting that he was, he had what, protection higher.
You know, the party of Darucha, the party of Harune Seku, that party, we don't know when the party of His Excellency Kufuor. A lot of us don't recognize it. We don't know what this party stands for. But so for an individual like this, and I'm a Christian, I'm not judging him, I'm no better than him. But this avowed, no nonsense, I'm a big man guy, is the chairman of the party in the Ashanti region.
The party stronghold.
And we understand that he wants to be national chairman.
No, that's what they say. I think it's a joke of the century. I don't
so let the law work.
Okay.
And I'm told
And as it is working, let all of us learn a lesson. NDC, MPP, CPP, all of us learn a lesson that eventually the people of Ghana will catch up with you.
All right.
I just want to ask Doc a very simple question.
For me,
Doc,
so that I wrap up.
do you think in your professional life that it is advisable that a former attorney general would always be seen after leaving office defending and represent in all of these alleged criminal cases
Doc, is that a question you want to take?
Well,
Oh, let me
well,
say,
I'll answer it. I mean, you know, it's my brother. I will answer the question.
I wanted to direct you to come to your office for consultation so that you charge him.
Yesterday, a friend of mine posed the same question.
Okay.
And you know, we laughed about it. Lawyers must chop.
That's a beautiful answer.
All right, so
that means a lawyer.
No, but he once
and
upon a time was Ghana's representative.
All that
and he was
aside,
the
politics,
the optics
the optics are
bad.
But
optics are bad.
Because his seniors like what's his name?
in fact, even the rules require you have to have a
Nana, do you want us to go back and look at optics? A lot of this has happened in the past.
All right.
Including the Guntumi optics for national channel.
You know,
That will be the jive.
That is it by way of our discussion this morning. I think
in as much as we have left the party,
I would personally have to investigate this Hamza claim. I think it's surprising everyone, but yeah, that is it by way of.
Don't you see it as a joke?
I'm not commenting on what you asked me.
I didn't get to say happy birthday to you.
Oh yes, thank you very much.
Enjoy your day.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy your youth.
Thank you.
We should sing.
Thank you very much. So that is
enjoy your youth. He's speaking from experience.
And he doesn't want to.
That is Dr. Josiah Koba. Dr. Josiah Koba is a legal practitioner, former principal and lecturer.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Hey, how old are you
Joseph, so this is from all of us to you on your special birthday.
Brilliant.
We love you. We see what you do. You are brilliant and excellent at what you do, and we are here all together to celebrate you this morning. Happy birthday!
Thank you very much.
You know you need to make a wish and cut your cake, right?
Okay, the lights have gone off, but I've said a wish already in my head. Amen. No, I've said a wish already. Amen. I have to cut it, right?
Yes, you have to cut it, and then you can share with your loved ones as well.
I will just do the cutting, then afterwards we'll share it off. So,
okay.
Thank you very much, and thanks to everyone.
Happy birthday!
I wasn't allowed to wrap up my segment, but so you've seen everyone around, yeah. So that is it. Thank you very much, and thanks to everyone. Thank you.
Right, you're welcome.
We're friend.
We'll take a break now. It's still TV3 New Day. We'll be right back.